everyone. As you can see from my background, I'm at a very gorgeous place. I'm here to talk about how I got sponsored for a 482 visa from my employer, and how am I lucky enough and blessed enough to live here and be in Australia, and just to see if I want to live in Australia full time. So let's get started. Hi everyone. So a little backstory here. When I first thought about moving to Australia in December of 2021, I was not sure if Australia was the right country or if I do look at moving to Canada or UK. I do have my family in UK. They're UK with a UK citizenship, and Canada, yeah, just because everyone was thinking of moving to Canada, and given the number of immigrants that they take in every year compared to Australia, was very high. I was also looking into that option, but I was scared because being the only child, I didn't want to leave my parents and my family alone. So I looked for opportunities which could give me a taste of where I was going, or before I could come to a decision. And hence, before applying for my PR, I looked for opportunities on a temporary basis that let me live and work in a place that I wanted to. Luckily, while applying for jobs, Australia and Canada and UK were the three places that I was looking for to apply for jobs. When I was looking through LinkedIn, I had to use a lot of filters to apply for the right kind of position that I was looking for. I went through their SOL list and see if my position was in demand here in Australia. And from there, from their immigration website, I found that my position was literally on the SOL list. So I took down points, applied filters to the places that I want to relocate to, basically Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane, top three places in Australia. I was not looking into moving to regional Australia for some reason, because I come from Delhi. I have not stayed in a regional area before. I was not really okay with that. I was not looking forward to that, but yeah, I was open to it. Now, when I first started my job search, I took to LinkedIn. That was my primary source of finding a job. Then I took to Seek. I made my profile on Seek, and yeah, I started looking for jobs. I gave in, like, I think more than 25 interviews from Seek as well as LinkedIn, but I was getting stuck to a point where the employer was not ready to sponsor me. One mistake I did was I did not clarify with the sponsor, with the employer, that I would need sponsorship for working in Australia. So that delayed a process by say 2-3 months, because I would clear the interview, and at the end, when it came to sponsorship, a lot of employers would not sponsor as easily as you would want to. Now, post 2-3 months, whenever I did get called for an interview, I made sure that I let the employer know that I would require a sponsorship, work sponsorship, to be eligible to work in Australia. I did not have a work permit to be in Australia. So before I proceeded with the interview, luckily my interview was finished, and I was selected after 4-5 rounds. That is a lot of rounds in interview to begin with. But yeah, by God's grace, I was selected, and then we proceeded with my visa application, which is my TSS 482 visa sponsorship. I feel very lucky because I was selected by 2 companies for the 482 visa, and they were ready to sponsor me, and I chose one of them, which is based out of Sydney. And you can see my background here is North Sydney, Kirribilli area, where you see a lot of boats and a lot of wharfs and amazing views. So yeah, not digressing from the fact, once I got selected in the interview, the employer connected me to their visa consultancy or a visa agency that they, immigration consultancy or immigration agency that they deal with. They asked me for a lot of documents. A list of documents is basically my birth certificate, my educational certificate, dating down to my bachelor's, my passport, obviously, ID certificate. Then my employment references or my reference letter from all of my previous companies. So this is what I had to like prepare for maybe 20 days. I had to reach out to all my previous employers for reference letters, which detailed out my job description. Once I had all my documents with me, I sent them across to the immigration consultancy that they had associated with them. They sent me a couple of forms to sign, which made them my agent for this visa process. Post that, for clarity, this sponsorship, 482 sponsorship, is entirely by the employer. Employer needs to be qualified to be a sponsor and pay a certain amount of fee to sponsor someone, and you do not have to pay anything to either the employer or the immigration consultancy that you're dealing with. If an employer does ask you for money, that is illegal. That being said, I am by no means an immigration agent and cannot advise you on how that is done or why would that be the case. So yeah, moving forward, once all my documents were submitted, my file was ready, and yeah, my file was submitted maybe around May of 2022. Luckily for me, I asked my employer for the relocation support to Australia, and they were able to give me like my flight tickets and my accommodation for 1 month here in Australia. So overall, the process of relocating here hasn't been that tough for me. Overall, but yeah, it's a long process and the wait time is huge. Now, what is a 482 visa? A 482 visa lets you to live and work in Australia for a period of 2 to 4 years, depending on the amount or the duration that is mentioned at the time of your grant. On 482 visa, you cannot work for anyone else, and you cannot work in Australia in anything apart from the job that you were sponsored in. Now you can transfer your 482 sponsorship from one employer to another, but that again is a sponsorship and you cannot work for anyone else while you're here in Australia. Post this process, once all my documentation was submitted and my visa was lodged, the immigration consultant gave me a HAP ID, which is an ID that you require to have your medical examination or medical test done, similar to what you do in Australian PR. You do get a HAP ID, and then when I got my HAP ID, I booked my health check in Max Center in Delhi. Though in the very next week, when I reached there, there was a huge line of people immigrating to Australia and Canada, and I was literally one of them. Felt like it though. But yeah, within the health checkup, they do they check your height, they check your eyes in a regular medical examination, and then your blood test, and then they do a chest X-ray as well. It took about 5 to 6 hours, so maybe take an entire day for this particular process. To let you know that I was still working in India with an employer when I was in the process of getting my 482 visa and my offer letter from my current employer. Once I got the offer letter and my 482 visa was lodged, I was skeptical on what is the duration or how long it will take for that 482 visa to come through. So I did not resign from my previous company. I did have to serve like 3 months of notice period that we have in all companies in India. before moving here. So it was maybe it was in July 2022 when I got approval for my 482 visa, and that is when I resigned from my current company. I moved to Sydney in August of 24th of August. I'm living here now for about 3.5 months. It's similar. So there are it's been amazing so far. I have like a couple of friends at my workplace that I enjoy Australia with. Mostly it's been like exploring places, exploring people, understanding their culture, understanding the prices here, understanding tax systems here. So pretty much that. I have not yet been able to fully explore Australia because I am working. I just do get the weekends here. But yeah, this is one of those places. Now, a couple of tips here for when you look for a 482 visa sponsorship, or when you look for a job that maybe is able to sponsor you to come to Australia. Firstly, use LinkedIn or Seek. Uh, be careful of what you're applying for. You should be very specific as to what you're looking for. For me, I was leading media buy in India, and that is what I looked for here in Australia. I was looking for a programmatic marketing specialist or a programmatic marketing lead positions here in Australia, and that is what I put in on one of those filters in LinkedIn. Now I went very specific to Australia. I went to Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane. These were the three places I filtered out in LinkedIn and on Seek, and I applied for positions there. Second tip, whenever someone calls you up for an interview, be very straightforward with them that you would require sponsorship from them, because you don't want to waste your time or waste 1 hour giving 4 interviews each per employer just for them to be at the end of the day telling you that they won't be able to sponsor you. So be clear with them. This has happened to me a couple of times. When I've cleared the interview and at the end the employer mentioned that they would not be able to sponsor me. They said that if you're able to come to Australia, we can give you an offer letter, but I could not come to Australia without either a PR or a working holiday visa. A working holiday visa is not for India. It is for people from other countries or countries approved by Australian government, but it is not for India. So I had no option but to leave that employer then and there. Now, depending on your situation, you should ask your employer for if they can offer you any relocation benefits. As they say, if you don't ask, the answer is always going to be no. So I asked for relocation benefits and I was lucky enough to get it. You should, when you're talking to your employer about all of this, you should ask about your relocation benefits from your company, and they will be able to help you with that. That has helped me a lot over the entire process of moving here. When I moved here, I booked my hotel stay near to my workplace, and that is when I started looking for apartments. I was lucky enough to get an apartment within 15-20 days. Someone close to me helped me look and have a face-to-face inspection for those apartments, through which I was able to get the apartment that I'm currently living in. But yeah, that always helps. So the documents that you require for a 482 visa is your English competency. If you have your mark sheets in Hindi or any other language other than English, please get them translated to English, or you will have to give an English competency test, which is either PTE or IELTS. I had my English proficiency test from PTE when I applied for this visa, so I used that here. And then you will need your graduation transcripts, then your work experience letters, your pay slips from your current company as well as from your previous company. I think that's the basic requirement of a documentation that you need. Now the duration of visa lodgement to visa grant was approximately 1.5 month. My visa was launched in beginning of May or end of April 2022, and I got my grant in June and July start of 2022. I've been informed that I'm I've been informed by my company colleagues that I'm one of the few lucky ones whose visa arrived in 1 month. Otherwise, it usually takes like 2 to 3 months for visa to be granted. So I hope I cleared all your doubts and was able to give you some information about 482 visa. Whether I like it here in Australia or not, or if I'm planning to move to a permanent residency here in Australia, I will let you know once I'm in that process. But I am wholeheartedly enjoying my temporary stay here in Australia on a 482 visa. Thanks for watching. Thank you.